Hello and welcome to the Kind Regards podcast, where we discuss navigating life at the intersection of career and business. Picture this, you have two guys looking for a better party than they have seen in Lusaka. You know, they're going out and seeing the same kind of thing all the time. They decide to host their own parties and charge people a little something for some pocket change. Fast forward a few years, this is one of the most well-established and reliable events companies in the country. It's the go-to corporate partner for any corporate that's seeking to have a well-executed event. That is the never-before-told story of R&G, and today it is such a privilege for me to sit down with one of the founders of R&G Events, Ronnel Armengol. Ronnel, thank you so much for coming on the Kind Regards podcast. I'm so excited to have you here and hear the R&G story, which is not something that has been shared widely. So thank you.
Absolute pleasure.
Okay, so to get us warmed up, I have a few icebreakers.
Sure.
So for starters, what is the last show or movie you enjoyed?
I'm a Star Wars nerd, so I've been watching Andor, the Andor 2, the most recent Disney release of the Star Wars franchise.
Yeah. Okay. I've never watched Star Wars.
Wow.
But the people who are into it seem to really, really be into it. If you weren't in the events business, what would you be doing instead?
Something in sport, which I am doing now, coincidentally, but something in sport is where I've always been passionate about.
I see. Is it why?
My upbringing. I played a lot of rugby growing up when I was sent to England for my education, and I had the privilege of playing rugby for Zambia, both 7s and 15s. So that aspect of sport has always been part of my background and part of who I am.
Okay, that's interesting. And what's your go-to snack?
Doritos, unfortunately.
Flavor?
Cheese.
Yep. Okay. And lastly, if you were to give a TED talk about something other than work or business.
Probably something with rugby or sport. That's where
I
think that's my one vice is rugby. I'm a big England fan, having a friend who played for England for several years. So I've always followed England rugby, and with that being part of my sport growing up, it's just something I'm very passionate about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. All right, so to segue into our actual discussion, I always like to start with the question of who are you as a person and as a professional? Because our podcast is about life at the intersection of career and business, right?
Yeah.
So how do you describe yourself from those two perspectives?
I think for me, and from growing up, I've always been a hard worker. I've never been scared to put hours into what I do. And what I am is someone that if I've got my teeth into something, I'll keep driving at it until it's done.
Yeah.
But done right. I try and avoid mediocrity. If I do anything, I like to do it as best as I physically can. That's who I am. I'm almost a perfectionist. I'm not a perfectionist because I am fairly easygoing, but I like things done right and done well.
Okay. So you're a hard worker. Say no to mediocrity. And I think that's probably something that we'll delve into the more we speak about how you've managed your events business, because I think we spoke about this off camera. I don't think anyone in the game is anywhere close to how R&G does it. But I'm curious, where did that mindset come from? You know, do you think it's just something that was innate in terms of how you are, or it's something that's got to do with how you were brought up?
Eventing was never in my plan, but growing up as well, I've always been able to get a crowd's attention. I've from schoolboy days and from even from my sisters said that I've always been that kid that can get on with everyone.
Okay.
It's always been that nature. So eventing is something I fell into by chance. It wasn't something I looked for. It just, a niche opened up, and with moving to Lusaka 15 years ago, it just happened. And we discovered as a business, as my business partner, we were good at it. We just got better and better. And we put professional checks and measures to make sure we grew consistently. That was the goal, and it was not something I was ever into. I mean, prior to that, I was in the distribution and warehousing business. So it was sheer chance. Yeah.
Tell me about the R&G origin story. How did you get to planning your first event?
So that's quite a funny story. So I'm a Kapala boy. I grew up in Kitwe. After school in England, my parents have lived in Kalalushi for 50 years.
Oh wow!
So Copperbelt is home, and we're in a distribution business. And about 10 years into it, the family business, I just thought, I'm still in my late 20s. I can do something different.
Yeah.
And at that stage, I decided I wanted to start something on my own. So I moved to Lusaka. Started a small distribution, but just that's what I knew at the time.
Yeah.
So just get my feet grounded. And then about 2 weeks later, this person called Guy Fisher calls me randomly. I knew him from Kitwe, not well, but I knew him. And he just goes, Ronnel, I'm also moving to Lusaka. Do you mind if I stay with you for 2 weeks until I find my own place? 3 years later, we were still living together.
Oh, wow.
That's how it started. And then what had happened was he was working at HomeNet at the time. And it was a relationship that really complemented our strengths. And as two young lads, Guy in his early 20s, myself in my late 20s, we'd go out at night. It was always the same thing over and over. And as two cocky young blokes, we said, we could do better.
Yeah.
And literally, we had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. But Facebook had just come online, and we knew quite a few people from playing rugby, touch rugby, frisbee, and we knew a few people. So we held our first event in Kabalonga. I can't remember the place, but we got a DJ in, but we followed no protocols. We had no sound permit, no police permit, nothing. And then at around midnight, police came in, shut us down, because we had nothing. We didn't actually know what we were doing.
Oh, wow.
And we charged 10 kwacha at the gate. And the whole idea about it was just, because we had day jobs, and said, we want to have a bit of fun and maybe make some pocket money. That's all it was.
Yeah.
A bit of fun, a bit of pocket money. But I think that's when the bug hit. We realized we got 150 people in just by messaging our mates. We can do better. Then we did the research. Obviously, growing up in England, I don't like to break rules. I like to follow the law. And also having been in business already for almost 10 years, with the family business, I've learned very quickly, don't be on the wrong side of the law. It does no one any good. It doesn't help your business, and it doesn't give you longevity. Yeah. So we researched, what police permits do we need? What do we need to do? And then we started doing small events. We did like a Luma party. We did cops and robbers. We did some really fun concept ideas. And it just grew and grew and grew. And I mean, from 150 people, suddenly it was 300, 500, 1,000. It's like, geez, okay. We seem to know what we're doing.
Yeah.
No one else is doing this. So we had like a 2-year head start from everyone else. And that's when people start copying. I think that's industry standard. I think that any business, when you start something new, you normally get a 2-year head start as a general rule of thumb. And by that stage, we'd already established certain procedures and protocols that we were already getting good at what we were doing.
Yeah.
But the big break came in. Manda Hill had renovated, and from the old Manda Hill to the new Manda Hill, what it is now, to the monster it was. Yeah. And the manager there, a lady called Joan, she was just, I think, if she watches this, she put us where we are. That's how powerful. For her to trust us to do the launch for Manda Hill, gave us an opportunity to enter the corporate world. So we were happily doing our little fun party, the Oktoberfest. We already started our first Oktoberfest. We'd already do all these.
Yeah.
But when we launched the new Manda Hill, we understood we could be really serious. There's certain protocols we've got to follow. And we successfully did it, and she was extremely happy.
Yeah.
But what that meant was that suddenly 130 tenants, corporates, knew who we were. So suddenly Stanchard was calling me. Suddenly Mr. Price called me. Suddenly Woolworths called me.
Wow.
So we got into that space, and people could see, as much as we were young, we were very driven.
Yeah.
Someone calls me at 8, I'll be there at 7:50. I'll be there on time. We will treat our business professionally. And then we grew. And I think from the time we picked up the corporate work, we were doing Woolworths social media page for Zambia and Nigeria. We were doing social media for Mr. Price. Suddenly our scope of work and our hand on the pulse of the event scene became extremely vivid. Because so many of these corporates were doing events and they're calling us, and it gave us that opportunity to learn very, very quickly. And once we started working with corporates, we realized actually we've got to look after these guys. They will be able to give us business throughout the year.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're doing a fun event, Oktoberfest is great. We're bringing in 8,000-10,000 people, but it's once a year. Yeah. What will you do during that downtime? What are you doing to enhance your portfolio? And the corporates were the perfect way to go about it. And looking after corporates was our priority. We shifted after that to looking after our corporates. Yes, we'll do our fun events because that's good for the brand.
Yeah.
But the corporate world is where we tried to cement our presence so that we would have consistent revenue. And that was a key thing. The moment we quit our day jobs and focused on R&G, we needed sustainable income. And the corporates was that ticket. And our focus was to always understand our corporates, understand their needs, really listen to what they're saying, so that when they engage us, we're not just giving them here's what you did last time. This is what we're thinking of doing. This is, as a brand, we've seen your brand guide, we understand it.
Yeah.
Can we try this? And that's what allowed us to get our business sustainable.
How far into the journey, or how many years or months in, did you make the decision to quit your day jobs and go full time?
About 3 years. 3 years.
3 years. Oh,
so
it was a side hustle.
It was for a very long time, and like I said, it was really pocket money. And we were young. A bit of money for meals out and having a few drinks and getting to know people, and it was very social. So make new friends. When you move to a new city, it's like you don't know anyone.
Yeah.
So eventing gave us a chance to get to know everyone, to make friends, and it was a lot of fun. It was never corporate to start with, but when the Manda Hill contract was given to us and executed, that changed the dynamics completely, and it gave us an opportunity to make R&G Events our full-time job.
It sounds like you guys were pursuing a better party,
right? Yeah, exactly. That's literally what it was.
You're trying to find a better party, and it turns into this business. Tell me about the mindset shift that had to happen for you to go from hobby to being taken seriously. Of course, like you said, you're already a serious person, you were passionate, you were showing up on time. But, going from a 150 person event to managing events for these big brands, what was that like? Did you have any teething problems?
I think every couple have teething problems. I think the hardest part is finding the right team to work with, the right staff, because and aligning to your mindset and to aligning to your vision, because it's very easy for an event business for the staff to say, "Oh, this is fun and games," which is what the perception is. But if you've got to have a very serious undercurrent behind it to make sure there's professionalism. Like my staff can't drink on the day. We can't. It's not allowed.
Yeah.
Everyone else is drinking, but you've got to have the professionalism to be able to be professional and make sure that you're operating. After the event, when the gates are closed, fine, have a drink afterwards. Yeah. Be responsible. Don't drink and drive. Don't do anything silly like that.
Yeah.
But be responsible. So, I think one of the big changes we had to shift to from fun parties to corporate was understanding brand guidelines. I think that was when you get your first brand guideline, it's like, what is this? I mean, MTN drops your brand guidelines like 200 pages long. It's like,
Oh my goodness.
it's like, what is this?
That's
and
a
I think-
textbook.
Exactly. And then that's just for one of the products. And they've got another 5 brand guidelines. You're just thinking, oh my goodness, where do I start? So, but what happens is that once you can spend the time to understand the brand,
Yeah.
you can deliver to expectation. So one of the first things we do now is corporate said, listen, do you have a brand guideline? Can we read it? Can we spend time to read it?
Yeah.
Obviously, brand guidelines are very sensitive. You sign NDAs to make sure that you don't share it out. But the moment you understand a brand, you can create for them. I think one of the key things, I remember Coca-Cola had come to us. They wanted a flagship event for Fanta. This is about 4 years ago. And they wanted something fun because they didn't have any brand-led Fanta events.
Yeah.
Got the brand guideline, and I just thought, guys, Colorfest. Because once you read it, it's such a fun, bright, vibrant. It's such you read the brand guidelines and you can see so much thought being put into it. And having read that, it was a no-brainer. And I think we were given 3 weeks to put this together, create the concept, do all the digital, and I think we had 2,000 people on the first event, and that's unheard of. First events you start, a couple thousand, 1,500, you're lucky. Yes, R&G has a big following of we've got 145,000 followers now, so we can create noise through sheer muscle. But to get people through the door to pay for tickets at that kind of short notice was wow. So as a team, we've become very good at trying to listen to our customers. It's not, we don't impose ourselves. We try and be a collaborative partner. We try and work with our teams, with our corporates, so that we can make their job easier and also enhance their brands. So it was being more professional, I think, was the key thing when we transitioned from fun to corporate.
I see. And how was that from a logistical perspective as well? Is that
I think I don't think it was difficult at all, because
okay?
to run an event like Oktoberfest, you've got to be serious. You've got to have security in place. You've got to have safety in mind.
Yeah.
Yes, we didn't have the stringent checklist like we do now. I mean, you should see the ABNBF checklist for an event. It's a folder that thick. You've got to make sure everything, it's little things like every food vendor must have a hairnet on. You must have a fire extinguisher for every gas canister.
Yeah.
There's certain protocols you've got to follow, and that comes second nature to us now. But when you first start going into it, it's understanding, geez, we've got to step up. And because we were already serious, because we were already doing difficult events like Oktoberfest, so there was a 2-day event, transitioning to that wasn't difficult because the team understood that we had to be professional anyway. But it's just aligning to that specific corporate or to that specific brand.
So some of the themes I'm picking up from what you're saying are, you emphasize the importance of professionalism, you guys not being mediocre, or you just having that no mediocrity mindset. And I'm sensing some agility as well. Like you encounter something new, but you kind of just adapt and get through that. So and I think that speaks to how we know R&G as a brand now. It's been, you said 11 years?
15.
15?
Yeah, we're 15 years old.
Oh, 15?
Yeah.
That's a teenager.
Yeah, I know. I've got kids now.
Yeah, so that longevity that you had. So, and you've also spoken about how, ensuring that you have the right people on your team. So could you speak to me about how you build a culture within an events business like R&G to make sure that you're delivering as expected consistently and with the longevity that you guys have enjoyed?
Stuff. So I think every director, every CEO will tell you it's all about staff. It's all about the people you work with and your team.
Yeah.
So hiring people is one of the hardest parts because they've got to align to you. They've got to understand when you join us, it's not fun and games. We create fun and games for everyone else. Our job is to be serious and to focus.
Yeah.
But at the same time, to have that fun personality, because I'll give an example. Once Day of Thunder, what a challenge. This year, the rains continued.
Yeah.
It rained Thursday night. The event was on Saturday. And this is to explain how dynamic you have to be as a team, is that it rained all of Thursday, which meant we couldn't finish setup. We were behind schedule. We couldn't do sound checks. The team had to work all of Friday up to 4 o'clock on Saturday morning, which is event day, to be ready for the event. Coupled to that, on Friday, National Mourning was declared.
Oh my.
So the program that was supposed to start at 14 to 24 hours had to be shifted from 18 to 24. Readjusting, just adjusting the artist schedule. And to speak to every artist, your time slots being changed to this, this, and this. And to align that and to communicate it out quickly is testament to how solid our team is and our synergy with Day of Thunder, the organizers from the head of marketing Mossy, which is Lusungu, incredible lady, and their brand specialist from South Africa, to make sure we all sat and aligned. The guys were working at 11 o'clock that night, readjusting the schedule so that when we woke up in the morning, we aligned, and like I said, as I alluded to earlier, aligned to government protocols.
Yeah.
We had to make sure that we aligned to what the government had stated. That's national mourning. You can't do any music until after 18. We aligned immediately. So by 10 a.m., when people were waking up, getting ready, everything was set. The communication was out, and we made sure it was done. And that's the level of dynamics you must have within your team and with your partners. And working with an incredible team like Abe InBev, Zambian Breweries, as known locally, is just amazing. And having partnerships like that allow us to be ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's not my way or the highway. It's, what do you think? This is what we're thinking. What do you think? And that's how we could quickly come up with solutions.
Yeah.
And what we're hoping for is that, and what we try and build into our team is that same level of dynamic, so that they can change and adapt to a situation. And event management, nothing goes right 100%. Something will always go wrong. Backup on backup, and sometimes even that fails.
Yeah.
I mean, mud run. I spoke to my team. Backup, water, showers. Guys are mud. We've got to have water tanks. We've got to make sure, because the first year, water pressure was low. Backup on backup. We put 20,000 liters of tanks up on top, so that even if power went, if a pump blew up, there would still be water. We still failed. Basically, we had pipes were too big, so guys were unscrewing the hose, the shower heads, so all the water was coming down 2 lines. The rest didn't have water. We had 19 showers. 2 worked because guys had removed it. It's like, we thought we had made a plan. But then what we did, we adapted. We did direct connections into giving guys direct water connections so that we could get people clean. Because as much as mud run is great, it's fun, you've got to get people clean afterwards.
Yes.
And we had 20,000 liters up there, but we couldn't get out to them fast enough.
Yeah.
So we had booster pumps. We had spare pumps in storage. We did everything, but it still went wrong.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we learn, and we debrief everything, and we make sure that we learn again. And we're not perfect, and we do try our best, but we do try and have a backup on a backup wherever we can, especially in critical parts. Backup generators. Since day one, no event runs on Zesco ever. The moment the event starts, we're on generator, because if Zesco suddenly cuts from Zesco going down to getting the stage back on, could be 5-10 minutes, sometimes 20.
Breaks the mood.
It kills everything. So everything runs a generator, and there's a backup generator in case that goes down. So we do try and plan. We do try and do our best to put contingencies in place to be as professional as possible.
Yeah. Because
at the end of the day, we've got to make sure our guest experience is what they paid for. Tickets. Times have been tough.
Yeah.
Guys, I remember Oktoberfest, guys come paying with coins because they've saved money to come to that event.
Oh,
so
wow.
You've got to respect that, you can't take your guests for granted. You've got to try and focus on the guest experience. And we must do everything we can as R&G to make sure we don't disturb that experience, and we give the best possible experience at all times. And again, and I'll refer back to AB InBev or Zambian Breweries often, is that they understand that as well. We're so well aligned that they also think the same way. So it's just a pleasure working with companies like that.
Yeah.
To do the best we can for our guests and our clients.
Interesting. So we've spoken about your ability to adapt in the moment, right, as you're planning these events. But I also feel like there's been an evolution and an adaptability with R&G. So I was thinking this morning that the crowd that was at your 2014 Oktoberfest, the first one, I was there. I showed you the picture. is the same crowd that's at Madran now, because
Yeah.
we've all gotten
Yeah.
older, we're all conscious about our health and all of that good stuff. Is the adaptability and the change in the type of events that you're having, or the expansion in your portfolio of events, has that been intentional? Has it been a strategy, or has it been a natural evolution? I know that you mentioned getting into working with corporates was a natural evolution in a sense, because you did Van der Hill and that came with more stuff. But is that a strategy that you've been implementing, or has it just been you growing with your audience?
Oh, absolutely. So, like I said, as much as you have to be dynamic on event day, it's also dynamic in the way we're thinking.
Yeah.
Concerts were the way to go 5 years ago, but everyone's doing it now.
Yeah.
So that space gets crowded.
Yeah.
So R&G likes to work to our strengths, work to trying something new. And I've been wanting to do a mud run style event for years, but no one really understood it because no one had done it before.
Yeah.
And
where had you seen that?
Tough one, UK, US, they do it a lot. So it's very common in the West. So, and this is part of the travel that we do. Like I mentioned off camera, that I bring my team to overseas as often as I can for exposure. But so something like I also evolve. I've got 2 kids now, so concerts are great. But I also want to do something that I think my kids would love to do one day when they get a bit older. So, Mud Run is a really, really exciting example of how we think behind at the office. So I've wanted to do it in a while. So, and this is now talking about aligning to a brand. And to be honest, one of the big 4x4 companies is actually my mindset. And because it worked with Isuzu for so many years, I'd actually tailored Mud Run specifically for Isuzu because I thought it was a perfect match. It ticked all the boxes. So if you understand a brand like Isuzu, they've got the MUX and the D-Max. The D-Max being the pickup equivalent, and the MUX being the SUV equivalent. So the D-Max focuses on being tough, rugged, workhorse. It's rough, it can handle all sorts.
Yeah.
It ticks perfectly with a 5K mud run, doesn't it? It's like it shows how tough you are.
Tough, yeah.
But they've got the D-Max, which is family. It's all about being family, driving your families together. And so within the mud run, we've got the family events inside. We've got the mini races. So even the prizes are aligned to. It's like fastest father and child, father and son, fastest mother and daughter, fastest family, linking to the MUX brand. So I think when I pitched it to Mike and Lilia at Asida and Ashish, it was almost too difficult to say no, because I created
this perfect.
We created a deck that aligned to their brand. It was, and for them, and I actually tell this to my team quite often, that even bosses have bosses. As much as Mike Bentley is a dealer principal, he's also got a boss in South Africa. He's got a boss in Japan, and when he pitches an idea, they have to align. So when I created, it took 3 years for me to convince someone to take on Mud Run, because it's an expensive event. It's insanely expensive, and I'll go into that in a little bit more detail. But when I created that deck and it aligned to it, it became very easy for Mike and Lilia and Ashish to pitch it to head office and say, listen, we want to do this.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, cool, let's do it. And I was like, cool. Well, they agreed because the budget expense. So we have to create the obstacles, and we have to have partners. So we've got the arena, the R&G arena, we own it. And the FarmX, the farm next to Chamber Valley, Farmer Frank, incredible human being, has been so supportive in helping us create this event. And I had a chat to him, and like, to fill these obstacles with water, because of droughts and filling these waters, you have to saturate the ground. During the course of a week of the event, we pumped in 1.5 million liters of water to make these obstacles wet, to be able to hold that, to have it have water in obstacles. So they kept getting saturated, and even on the day, we were still filling obstacles with water to make sure that we created that experience. Because can you imagine coming to a mud run? There's no mud.
Yeah.
So
what are we doing? So it's the dust run.
We evolved. We created an event, and this comes with experience now. We understand the brand. We understand professionalism. We understand health and safety. I mean, there's like 20 medics on site. Every officer has a medic. We've got 2 ambulances on site. It's safety first, and I think that's what we learned as a key thing. The moment you go corporate, safety is paramount.
Yeah.
Nothing trumps safety. So if there's a safety issue, it gets cancelled.
Yeah.
We will be able to answer what we did to ensure safety, and if there was an incident, what did we do to make sure that person get to medical care as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So we do all that to make sure that the event is as professional as possible. So that's how, to answer your question, the evolution comes with time, with age, having 2 kids myself now, getting married during that period allows me to think differently now. There's 50 years ago to think of kids when I'm in my late 20s, single, it's like, no, not in the picture. But now it's 2 kids. I've got an understanding what parents need, what parents want. So I can also start relating to that. So as a director, I can start thinking about these things. And so we are thinking of more family-friendly events. And that's I think a natural evolution as I age as well. Yes, we'll do the critical fun stuff. We'll continue because we've got a very young team. I think because we want that young, that youthful experience and that energy. So yeah, I don't think the fun things are going to anytime soon, but we're going to evolve to having a broader portfolio.
So you mentioned how you saw the idea of a mad run elsewhere, and you also talked about how you invest in exposing your team to different environments. Tell me why you think that is worthwhile, and do you think that it's possible for someone who isn't getting that level of exposure to have the same amount of creativity? What do you think? Why do you think the ROI on that is worthwhile?
So all the crazy ideas that we've ever done always came from watching someone from overseas doing something cool. Because the West or East, doesn't really matter which side you go, have much bigger budgets than us.
Yes.
They can do, you can see what Coachella does, you can see what Glastonbury does, you can see Formula One races, you can see the scale.
Yeah.
And my biggest fear with my team is that if they haven't seen what can be done, they'll be in their little box all the time. And I don't want my team to think they're the big fish in a little pond. We've got to compare ourselves with everyone else around us. So I tell my we've got 6 designers in house, and I tell them, don't compare to yourself just with people in Zambia. Yes, there's a lot of talent here, but why limit yourself to that comparison, to that level of quality? You all have MacBooks. Because as a director, I believe it's my job to provide the tools of trade to my team.
Yeah.
I can't expect a designer to design something when he's working off an Intel 3 laptop that was 20 years old. They can't do it.
Yeah.
So my primary job is to make sure that I have the best possible gear for my team to be able to do their job. So every designer has a MacBook Pro. They will work. I won't get desktop because there's load shedding. Laptops have that backup. So they use the industry standard tools. They use Photoshop. They use After Effects. They use Premiere Pro. Why compare? Why are we not comparing ourselves with someone in London, in New York, or Milan? There's no reason to not compare with them. So, dream bigger is what I try and push my team. Stop comparing. Yes, it's good to compete with your immediate peers.
Yeah.
But don't limit it to that. You want to be a world-class designer, not a local designer.
Yeah.
And that's what I push my whole team. Let's be as good as we can. So when we do events, if my guys have never seen a large event, how do they know where to benchmark themselves against? So my design team, yes, they can benchmark on creatives around the world, but to my eventing, my account managers, my tech guys, how do they benchmark?
Yeah.
So last week we brought them to Dubai Untold, 150,000 people. 5 or 7 stages, was it? The smallest stage is the biggest I've ever seen. Zambia will never see a stage that big. It was insane.
Yeah.
And this year we brought another 6 guys to Dubai in February to watch La Pearl, which is just incredible. So when these guys go to these events, firstly, when you arrive in Dubai and you've never left Lusaka and they've never been on a plane, that experience, for me, it's also, my father has told me, and this is advice from 25 years ago, treat your staff like you would your children. And I think I've taken that to heart quite literally many times. And watching the guys go on a plane and hearing the stories that, you know, that childish joy.
Yeah.
You know, you got an Emirates plane, it's like,
Wow.
there's food coming in. And then obviously, you know, the business lounges, you know, we go in because obviously with your Visa cards, you get lounges. So some of you guys will go in the lounge, it's like, it's all free. You go to the F&B lounge, it's all free. It's like, wow, you know? And it's just amazing. And then just picture this. It's like, this guy has, this year, I bought Brian. He's my motorbike driver.
Yeah.
That's all he does. He delivers tickets to everyone. This is what he is. He's never left Zambia. He's never had a passport. But he's been with my team for 10 years. So it's okay, let me reward him for his service.
Yeah.
But also, he's a critical part of my team. On event day, he handles the artist entry gate. He's a little minion. He's short.
Yeah.
But he takes no nonsense. He doesn't care who it is. Your number plate is not on the list. You're not coming in.
Yeah.
You know, that's great.
Done.
And understand, Brian has never been on a plane. He arrives in Dubai, has never seen skyscrapers the way it is. He's never been on a train. So you go on a metro to the hotel. He's never. Then we take him to a water park. Never been to a water park. Never been on a jet ski. Never been on a jet boat. All that experience, and suddenly now he arrives at La Pearl or Dubai Untold. It's like, wow. So what I'm hoping to do with my team is like, open your mind.
Yeah.
He would have seen R&G growing up like, we're the best, but we're not. There's a lot of guys who do a lot of things different and better than we do. But we must be better overall. That's our goal. Be the best as much as we can.
Yeah.
And if I could have an entire team of staff that have the same mindset as IG, as the directors do, then suddenly we're changing the game. Suddenly they're bringing ideas. And I'll explain to you what happened at Dare Thunder, how this investment has paid off. And you go to Dubai Untold, the music, the stages, you're looking at the world's biggest stars, you know, and suddenly they're seeing that these guys that they see only on TV, suddenly it's there. They've got VIP tickets.
Yeah.
And we spend, I'm not gonna, the investments are insane. I mean, the VIP tickets like $300. Charge that in Zambia.
Yeah.
You could have two charges of that. And there's nothing free, it's just the position. But if my guys can see what a VIP experience should look like and feel like, they're able to bring it back to Zambia, to our events.
Yeah.
And the fruition of that was that even at Master of Thunder, some of the Instagram corners we came up with weren't my ideas. It's been, for the last 10 years, it's always been me coming with these ideas, coming up with ideas. But because my team have come through, I think Malega, one of my cameras, said, listen, when this artist on stage, the music was in beat with a video behind him. Can we do that? It's like, yeah, why not? And they're coming with ideas. Oh, when we were at Dubai Mall, we saw the adverts in Dubai and told this is what the advert was saying. And can we do the same?
Yeah.
And even Instagram corners, they'll come up with ideas that, listen, this is what we think we should do. Can we do this?
Yeah.
I'm not coming with ideas. I'm now, as a director, because of our growth, I'm managing the overall picture. I'm making sure that I'm steering this ship in the right direction. But the micromanagement side, it's my team doing it now. They're coming up with ideas. They run it by me. So listen, do you think this is possible? Can we do it? Yeah, cool. Cost it out. Let me know. And getting these guys to travel, to be able to see and Dubai is probably one of the pinnacle destinations in the world right now, and extremely accessible to for Zambians. I mean, probably one of the easiest visas that Zambia can get. And for that opportunity is just unbelievable. And also you get back and just hear just these heartwarming stories. Like he comes back, he's like a little celebrity in his little township. You know, it's amazing. And people come to him like, how was it?
Yeah.
And they get a chance to feel special.
Yeah.
And they cherish it. And you can see it, and it doesn't disappear. And you can just see the guys who've traveled, because obviously it's an expense. You know, we were a 30-man team.
Yeah.
I can't bring everyone in one go. So you bring them in batches. And the guys that have traveled, you can see how they see things differently.
Yeah.
They'll say, can we try this? You know, and you'll hear them refer it, I saw this in Dubai. Can we do this as well? Like, you know, it's a bit expensive. Can you cost it? How do we Zambianize it? How do we make that possible here? And Zambians there's a lot of talent here. We've got the way Zambians think and the way they can make things just happen is unbelievable. And I love it here. I mean, Zambia's home. I mean, I'm a Zambian citizen. This is home. I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And I want to give back. and give my kids, I call them, that experience, so they can also grow with me. They can also become better at what they do. And the ROI is hard to measure, but
Yep.
I can see it,
You
and
can
I
see it.
will, for as long as I can afford it,
Yep.
I'll continue doing it.
Lovely. So speaking of team, you and Guy make a great team.
Yeah.
And it seems like you have clear delineation of responsibilities. You seem to be more on the business side, and he would handle more of the logistical side. How did you guys get to that point where you realize that this is what makes us a symbiotic team,
Yeah.
and these are your strengths, you lean into that, and so on?
So when we first met, like I said, the 2 weeks became 3 years of living together.
Yeah.
We got to know each other really well.
Yeah.
And when we played touch rugby together, we go to the frisbee together. We'd it was one of those incredible relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And on set, when we started our first event, he already had a passion for music. He already DJed. He's probably one of the best DJs I know. Believe it or not, I mean, his ability to read a crowd is unreal.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a shame I had to kick him off DJing because he had to actually he had to be a director.
Yeah.
But on the small events where he would DJ, he would get everyone on their feet, and he's always had that talent about him. He's always
Yeah.
been a very good DJ, and music, stage has always been his passion. So you could see it from day one. I was more administrative. So when we did our small events, and we were a 2-man team, there was a few mates volunteering. So he would focus on the music, he'd get the DJs in, he would do the stage sound and lighting. I would handle the gate, I would handle photography, I'd handle the advertising. So we immediately, without even talking about it, just fell into our roles. We just worked. It just worked. And things evolve. And as a business evolves and becomes bigger, you step away from like, I don't pick up a camera anymore. I don't have time to. I don't open Photoshop anymore. I don't have time to. We have a team, and same with us. Now the focus now is just it's management.
Yeah.
It's managing our team, teaching them how to do their job as well as they can, and mentoring. And I think our role as directors has moved in the last, the previous after 10 years was mentoring and guidance.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we would put up the stage, we would put up this thing, we did it ourselves.
You miss getting your hands dirty that way?
It's yes and no, because that was hard work. But it also is very personal back then. You got involved, your mates were helping you, there's a lot of camaraderie, that kind of thing. But now when the events are so big, you just can't. You've got, on an event there like something like Oktoberfest or Monster Sunday, it's like there's 500 people reporting to us directly. Wow. So we've got to be able to sit back and steer the ship, like I say. Our focus is steering the ship as much as possible to make sure that we're moving forward.
So we've spoken about how you basically run all these events like Mosi Day of Thunder, Isuzu Mad Run, and of course your very own Oktoberfest. So what would you say to someone trying to start an events business today?
If you want to go to events, stay focused. Don't get carried away by the glitz and glam about it. You'll have these artists come through. You'll have these guys. It's very easy if you're drawn by that spotlight to say, listen, I need to spend time with that artist. Rub shoulders, show to people, listen, I'm the event manager.
And I'm next to this person.
Exactly. But if you're doing that, what's happening to your event? Yes, the artist is important, but they're one cog in the entire machine.
Yeah.
So stay focused on the event itself.
Yeah.
Don't just focus on the artist, because I think it's very easy to be inclined because there's a spotlight. Because a big international artist or local artist, don't get me wrong, I mean, the likes of Yomas, Sheffy, and all these big artists can pull a crowd, and being able to get photos of them, it looks good for your brand. It's good for your portfolio as a starting up event manager. But these guys are professional. Someone like Chef and his team, he knows his time slot. He'll arrive on time. He'll do everything. You don't need to spend time on him.
Yeah.
They're so good. I mean, I've seen watching Chef evolve. I mean, he was there on a very early Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
The way him and his team have evolved has been phenomenal. So don't micromanage. You don't need to be focusing on
a profession.
Yeah. Focus on the event. Where are your pressure points? Is your gate system running smoothly? it's a setup. Are the
Yeah.
vendors sorted?
Yeah.
Are the drinks cold? Do that. Focus on that. Don't get caught away by the fame and the celebrities.
Yeah.
Focus on the event, because the
Yeah.
moment you lose focus on the overall picture and the core commercials of the event,
Mm-hmm.
it's very easy for you to be spending your money in the wrong place. And then I think one of the biggest issues young event managers focus on is trying to secure the artist and the venue and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
That's actually the easy part. Finding the sponsors
Mm.
and the partners is the hardest part.
Let's get into that.
Yeah.
How do I get my foot in the door with a sponsor?
It's extremely hard. Even for me as a business, a company that's been in for 15 years, firstly, relationships go a long way. Showing a good track record goes a long way.
Yeah.
We are very lucky now where people are inboxing us, emailing us, asking us to do their events without us hunting for the work.
Yeah.
10 years ago, 5 years ago, we were hunting for work.
Really? As recently as 5?
Yeah. We would look for work, because you'd have your downtime, you'd have your off seasons, and you want to keep revenue coming in.
Yeah.
But I think what I tell my team, especially for events, I ask them this random question every now and then, like a new camera would come in and say, listen, in the entire event, like a concert, who's the most important person? 99% of the time, the graphic knows the artist is the most important.
The artist?
It's like
The paid artist?
Yeah, exactly. The artist is a professional. They're being paid to do a job.
Yeah.
But yes, he's important, but who paid for him? And I think people forget you've got to look after your sponsors. By far, without a sponsor, there's no event.
Yeah.
And I think people think they can get the artist, get the booking in and not pay. It's like, no. Focus on looking after your corporates and putting them first and listening to your corporates and what they need.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the hardest part, because to earn that trust is hard. And like I said, bosses have bosses. So for a marketing manager to trust you with their budget and with their event,
Yeah.
they've got to know you will deliver.
Yeah.
So it takes time. And that's the reason why doing events like Oktoberfest and all these other events we've done in the past, these underground parties we used to do,
Yeah.
it showed proof of concept. It showed we could be trusted. We showed we could be reliable.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest focus is don't think you're going to get $100,000 in your first event. You're not. No sponsor is going to give you when you don't have a track record.
Right.
It's like with any job. You're not going to be the managing director in a company when you first start. You'll start at the bottom.
Yeah.
And you earn your stripes like we had to. Earn your stripes, work hard, graft, and show proof. And one day, that lucky break, like we did with Mandy Hill, will come through, and you've got that chance.
Yeah.
And grab that bull by the horns and don't let go. And because those opportunities will come once in a lifetime. Like Joan Bessasol, I don't think she understood just the opportunity she gave us.
Yeah.
And the residual business that we got from it. And we've been so lucky that from that, we've managed to keep our head above water, keep our wits about us, and not get distracted. And because of that, we've been able to build a team, a reliable team, that understands what we're trying to achieve. So yeah, to any event manager starting, focus on your commercials and focus on your sponsors. Everything else will follow if you can look after those two things.
So give me your top 3 things that someone should do in terms of taking care of their sponsor. Like what must they make sure they're on top of? Yeah.
So what I tell my sponsors is that let's say I do a big event like Mossy. It's Mossy of Thunder, a great example.
Yeah.
Lusungu has a million things to do as head of brand.
Yeah.
From the I don't know if you remember the billboards they put up.
Yeah.
We're just one cog in that wheel. So
Yeah.
as much as Mossy of Thunder is a big event,
Yeah.
the pre-event marketing, the mashup we had to do, everything else, that's just one part. So she's busy. She's insanely busy. So when we would have our weekly meetings with her, you can tell her schedules are tight.
Yeah.
So what I've learned is that when she comes to an event, is that she mustn't be worrying if the food is hot or if the drinks are cold or if security is in place. She must know that everything's in place. She mustn't be the one putting branding down. She must know that what you've agreed, you stick to.
Yeah.
So treat your sponsor as your priority. Make sure that you understand them, and that is read their brand guidelines,
Yeah.
understand the brand you're trying to promote for them. So I mean, something like AB InBev, they've got Mossy, Castle Light, Stella, Budweiser, they've got everything, you know.
Yeah.
Every brand has its own target market, own demographics they're trying to hit to. And if you're being given Mossy, if you're being given Budweiser as a brand to promote, read the brand guidelines, understand what they're trying to achieve, so that you align to their vision. So understand the brand that you're promoting, understand your client, and treat them with absolute priority. Because without them, there is no event. That's the bottom line. And I think people forget that. Without those sponsors, bottom line. And I think a lot of event managers seem to think, oh no, I'll do an event, I'll make money at the gate. Like, no, mate, no. The money at the gate, if you're lucky, will break even your entire cost. If you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
The sponsorship allows you to pay for your costs. But at the same time, if you're relying on the gate, and this is Zambia, geez, people don't buy in advance. I mean, half the tickets are sold on the day.
So you don't even know exactly what your turnout will be.
It's not like in the West where you sell out of tickets. Zambia doesn't sell out. You know, guys will always wait. You know the drill. Has the artist arrived in Zambia? That's when you buy your tickets. That's Zambia. Because there's been so many disappointments.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the whole Sean Paul incident, guys are still claiming, where's my tickets?
Yeah.
Where, you know, they didn't get their refund. So that traumatized the market.
Yes.
And situations like that traumatize the market. So that means don't buy up front. So if you're thinking you can run an event without a sponsor and recover, you can't. Like, how are you going to pay for that stage, sound, and light? How are you going to pay for the local artists up front, the deposits? Because no artist is going to go and say you have a payment. And you're waiting for that money at the gate to come through. So it's not coming through, mate.
Yeah.
So they must focus on making sure that they look after the partners, the corporates, and don't dilute them. Don't ever make the mistake of, for example, bringing Coke and Pepsi to the same event.
Like, what are you doing?
Just don't. Just don't bring.
That's common sense, I would hope.
Yeah. You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't bring NTN and Airtel. Don't bring Susan Toyota unless it's an auto export. Then fine, but don't dilute your sponsors. Treat them with respect because they're giving you their hard-earned money.
Yeah.
And they need a result. Gone are the days 20 years ago where they just give you money. You know, let's make noise. There are ROIs now. There's KPIs that you've got to adhere to, because if you don't meet those ROIs, they won't sponsor you next time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lot of things that you've got to achieve for that renewal to come back.
Yeah.
And at times, you know, even if you did everything, they don't renew because their budget didn't do the company didn't do well that next year.
Yeah.
So you've got to be really careful, and you've got to, you know, you've got to look after the very few sponsors that actually have money to sponsor in advertising and marketing. That pool is very small.
Especially in Zambia.
Exactly. And so respect them. Don't ever think you can get another sponsor easily.
Yeah.
They are few and far between, and treat them with respect.
Yeah. You mentioned that as recently as 5 years ago, you were still hunting. What's an effective way to hunt for business in a market like ours?
Unfortunately, it's proof of concept. Show what you've done. Like I keep saying, earn your stripes. Networking always.
Relationships?
Of course. But you can have a really good relationship, but they've never seen what you've done.
Yeah.
You'll never get a job. So it's relationships and proof of concept go hand in hand. Work hard, continue to work, and put yourself out there. Show what you can do. So, and networking could be like, for us, social media has been a very powerful tool for us in the last 15 years. It's allowed us to reach people that without Facebook we wouldn't be able to do, or social media. The conventional press is very expensive. Like put an advert in the newspaper is very expensive, and there's no analytics there. You can't see who read it. You can't see which areas of Zambia or the world. The digital space is so powerful now. There's so much data that you can analyze. You can tweak your campaigns based on the data you can read on your social media and your website pages. Your website pages, you've got heat maps. You can see where people have opened, where they've opened, how long they've been on that page, where they go next to, and what they're looking at. Yeah. Those heat maps allow you to redesign your digital content to align to your event and to what people are wanting to see. Yeah. Put that content first. Make sure people are looking at you. Yeah. So those are stuff that we're doing behind the scenes to make sure that we're always competitive. We've always got a a solid marketing plan.
Yeah, unfortunately, it sounds like there's no easy way around it.
No.
Of concept.
Yeah.
And get the work done. Tell me, what is something that has surprised you about the R&G journey over the past 15 years?
So when we first started, our vision was just, let's do fun events.
Yeah.
I think the understanding how much corporate work there is
Yeah.
took me off guard.
Okay.
Because it's from the little town halls, 150-man events, to year-end parties, which is 800 people,
Yeah.
to proper campaigns like Zambia, like Day Sunday, which is 10,000 people.
Yeah.
And what that means is that you've got to be so dynamic, and be willing to adapt to what they want. So if Coca-Cola say don't do a town hall and it's just a screen and some sound, do the work. It's a small job, but it pays the bills.
Yeah.
And then eventually you'll get the big jobs where you do Multi of Thunder, which is a giant flagship event for Zambian breweries.
Yeah.
And to get that opportunity to run a flagship event for a big corporate, that's holy grail for eventing.
Yeah.
That's not what you want to try and get to. So, and we've had the privilege of doing Stand-Up Music Fest and working with the biggest artists, from Boys to Neo. I mean, even my own office, trying to keep that starstruck. Even with our directors getting excited,
Like,
stop,
oh my goodness.
focus. It's Neo. I mean, we grew up with listening to Neo. You know what I mean? So it's like
every millennial's dream.
Exactly. You stay focused.
Yeah.
And but those opportunities are great. So as long as you're professional, as long as you've done your job, be there, be a fan. Happy days. You've done our job. We've done everything we need to do. Be a fan. But be professional.
Yeah.
And I think that was the biggest surprise of how big. And how small and how diverse corporate work can be.
Yeah.
And if you build the relationships, there's some really good people out there, some really good account managers, really good marketing managers that really want to try and help. But I think a lot of them have been disappointed as well. So it's hard for them to trust a new person without proof of concept.
Yeah.
Because their job is on the line.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if a marketing manager gives you the job and it fails, it's on their neck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going to be Ronnel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You engaged him. You account for it.
Okay. What does R&G look like 15 years from now?
Oof. I think as every business grows, there's you peak, you plateau, you peak, you plateau. During the peak, you're growing, you're plateauing, you're consolidating.
Mm-hmm.
R&G now, we're at the stage of trying to consolidate, build our infrastructure. How do we maximize our revenue and our profitability?
Mm-hmm.
And that comes in, that for us now is enhancing our manpower, upskilling everyone. So get everyone trained up. So I've got my tech guys do welding courses, do plumbing courses. So we don't have to outsource. You're a techie, you're putting on stage sound lighting, but off event day, let's do maintenance. Instead of expending money out, let's keep the money within the business as much as I can.
Do they like that?
I think they love it, because anything else, I mean, you're sitting doing what? Are you waiting for 2 days of your life to work, or would you want to try other things? And they can be part of the team. And when we do it, it's like, what do you want to learn? And it's quite interesting. Like, what do you want to like? I'll go one of my tech guys who wants to be stores manager. Okay, cool. You want to do that? What course? Let's find you an online course. Get qualified. I've got 2 guys that want to learn how to ride motorbikes. Okay, cool. Let's get you qualified. Let's get your license. Do it properly.
Yeah.
We've got some cool ideas. We need someone to get a truck driver license. Let's get you trained. Consolidate my team. Get them skilled up. Train them so well that that they can do the job in the best possible fashion. And then building our equipment. Like we're still renting offices. I'd love to be a point where we own our offices, have all our gear in one centralized place so we can manage it better. So I think it's a lot of consolidation now and upskilling our staff. I think that's where in the next 10, 15 years, I want to make sure that we establish a legacy where even in 15 years time that I step aside and I offer shares to some of my team and offer directorships to my team, that they can now move the company forward above and beyond what I did.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hoping for, that they do better than I. And that's what we all want. You always want your kids to do better than you. And my kids should bring the company further. And that's what I'm hoping for, that they become better. And my big focus at my office is always trying to pull out the best version of my staff wherever possible.
Yeah.
And the guys will know I'm very strict at the office. I can be very, very easygoing, but when it comes to work,
Yeah.
I'm very, very firm. But I'll always be fair in my decisions. If you step out of line, I mean, everyone makes mistakes. I'm happy to listen. Don't do it again.
Yeah.
But if you repeat the mistakes, I become much more. I demand more accountability. Accountable to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because you make one mistake. I mean, I remember one of the new guys overamped speakers, got a bit excited and blew 2 speakers. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, it's your first mistake. Don't do it again.
Yeah.
There's no penalties to it. Fine. But I want next time you do this, you will share the cost with me. Understand what you've just done, and fair play. Everyone that comes in, I have to allow them to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Because if they don't make mistakes, they do not learn.
Yeah.
And it's just, can I afford those mistakes?
Yeah.
So we've got 15 cars. We've bought a few new cars recently. The future for us is consolidation.
Yeah.
And upskilling our staff to be world-class event managers. That's what my goal is. To not compare just to local, but to be a world-class events company.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ronnel.
Pleasure.
It's been such a pleasure to have you. And I think all of us have, well, I'm saying all of us, me and the audience, will have learned so much about consistency, longevity, creativity, agility from this discussion. So thank you so much for making the time. It's been a wonderful interview.
Does it?
But before we close, I always ask my guests to leave us with a quote, their favorite quote, and a call to action, something we should implement after watching this episode. So what's your quote and what's your call to action?
I think out of 15 years, I'd say be kind. Be kind.
Oh, I didn't expect that. This conversation was so technical and business oriented. I didn't expect that. Be kind.
And I say that because when someone makes a mistake, it's very easy to get annoyed. So easy. It's when you see mistakes, it's very easy to get frustrated.
Yeah.
Try and listen to your team. Try and listen to your clients. Don't be mean. Because being mean doesn't get the best out of your team.
Yeah.
When they're repeatedly doing something wrong, yes, you can start putting out the disciplinary code.
Yeah.
But try and understand. I've got 2 kids now. I've also learned that. It's one of the things I always tell my kids now: be kind, be kind. Because outside that, really, what more is important? I want a team that are good citizens, that are good people.
Yeah.
Because if you are kind, it means have the right intent. Because it's a deep word, that be kind. And those 2 words mean a lot more. It's like, because if you are kind, you will never be malicious. You'll never be vindictive. If you are kind, you'll always try and do the right thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by be kind. Be respectful. Because if you're kind, you'll be respectful. So it's such a powerful 2-word sentence, if it is a sentence. And that's what I'm trying to be more of as well. Is that I read it somewhere. I don't know, can't remember where I read it, but it's such a powerful line. And if more people were kind, this world will just run a lot better. Businesses would run a lot better.
We wouldn't have a lot of the problems we have.
Yeah.
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 No, that's
And a call to action, like my dad said, there's no shortcut to hard work. You've got to work. When you're starting, you've got to work. There's no shortcut to it.
Yeah.
If you look at the billionaires of this world, like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, look at the hours they put in. They will put 17-hour days. You want to get that head start. You want to grow. Put the hours in. And it's what I tell my team. Your 9 to 5 is what pays your bills. It's what you do after those hours is what creates your legacy.
Yeah.
The 9 to 5 pays your bills. That's what it is. It's what you're putting in after, above everyone else, is what will allow you to jump out of the rat race and put your head above, to put yourself head above shoulders from everyone else.
Yeah, I love that you said that, and it's just given me one more question
Sure.
before we close up. How has your approach to life and work evolved with you growing your family? Because throughout the conversation, you've spoken about the children and all of that. So I'm curious.
So I had kids very late. Well, Zambia,
Relatively.
relatively. I mean, I had my first child when I was when I was 41.
Yeah.
So I wanted to. I was very deliberate about that.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be able to focus on the career, focus on the business, and to grow that.
Yeah.
The moment you have kids, it changes. Well, you can change put focus on your family, or you can still focus on your work. But
Yeah.
I'm at that stage where I wanted to have kids and I wanted to put family first. So it's very hard. So when I get away from work, when I get home, I want to spend time with the kids. And if I have to work afterwards, it's after the bedtime. They have, we've got a fairly routine schedule that they know the drill.
Yeah.
Then after that, I'll continue work if I have to. And I do very often in the evenings, I'll continue working.
Yeah.
Especially I'm running 2 businesses now. But it is a lot harder having kids, because it will inevitably split your attention.
Yeah.
And it's something that you want to do. I mean, kids are a beautiful thing and you want to spend that time with them. But it also will mean that you can't spend 24 hours a day working on your project.
Yeah.
You can't just do it's not possible, because those kids are your responsibility. Those are those kids will be your legacy eventually. Well, you hope for them to be. And if you don't spend time with them, someone else will bring them up. And I want to be that father, as well as my wife. We want to be the parents that will bring up our kids. Not the school. Don't get me wrong. School teachers are great. Peers are great. But we want to make sure that we raise our kids with the right moral, with a good moral compass.
Yeah.
That's what we want. But it is hard. Don't get me wrong. It's the first 3 months of a child. That sleep.
Children don't sleep.
No. So it has made my ability to put the hours that I used to a little bit harder. But again, I'm at a point in place where I have a good team. I have infrastructure. I have someone in charge of certain sections within the business.
Yeah.
And I have a secretary now that can help shave off that 5 minutes here, shave off 5 minutes there, to allow me to focus on more critical work. So it allows me to do more. So it's, again, working hard is one thing, but also work intelligently. What does the Bible say? When the axe is blunt, much work is required. Sharpen the axe, work intelligently, work as intelligent as possible, especially when you've got restricted time, so that you can spend time where you want to spend it.
Yeah. So how many hours do you work now, and how many were you working before in a day on average?
It varies depending on event day. So what will happen, obviously, when there's a big event like was it Sunday, we would have the grandparents coming to help. They listen, we're event day. So we could quite easily put a 15, 18-hour day in.
That's crazy.
Yeah, which is normal for event day. I mean, you usually put in 18 hours in the sun in the evenings. It's that. But then after the event, they can have 2 days off. We can take that time off. We can give them that breaks.
Yeah.
But it's the nature of eventing. Eventing isn't 9 to 5, especially when you've got event days.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's evolving and it's managing that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
I've enjoyed this conversation. Thank you.
Me too. Thank you.
Thank you for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Remember to like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. And of course, look out for the next R&G event and make sure you are there.